Hi everyone, thanks for joining Site 24/7's webinar series. I'm Mahalashmi and I'll be hosting today's webinar with Harshita, our technical expert. Harshita, would you like to just say a quick hello to our attendees?
Hey, hello everyone. This is Ashita from Site 24/17. So I'll be your technical expert for today webinar. Yeah.
Thanks, Harshita. Now, without further ado, let's look into the agenda for the day. In the agenda, before starting off with the day's main topic, I'll introduce you to Site 24/7, our monitoring tool, and what it has to offer your IT environment. Then we will start with a quick introduction on observability. And we will discuss the challenges in the Azure environment related to observability. And we will also talk about why you should prefer an observability tool over a monitoring tool, the limitations in Azure's native observability tools, and how Site 24/7 can help you achieve Azure observability with some example and a demo. All of this will be followed by a Q&A, which will be taken up by our tech expert. Now, during the course of webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to post it up on the chat box. Now, let me introduce you to Site 24/7. In the year 2007, Zoho's IT management arm, Zoho ManageEngine, began developing Site 24/7 to cater to the needs of a rapidly growing IT environment. Site 24/7 is a cloud-based monitoring platform that helps IT and DevOps team of all shapes and sizes break down their complex relationship between the IT infrastructure, application, customers, and businesses. It's been 15 years now, and presently, Site 24/7 is an emerging AIOps power digital experience monitoring, ITOM, and observability solution for IT and DevOps. We also provide cloud cost optimization and hosted status pages for businesses to thrive. We will learn more about Site 24/7 further down the presentation, but for now, let's start with the topic of the day. The topic for today's webinar is end-to-end Azure observability, the complete essentials of Azure monitoring. One of the most important top grossing keywords of today is observability. Now, what is observability? Observability is when you can gauge the performance of the internal mechanics of your environment just by taking a look at its outputs. The outputs here are called the three pillars of observability: log, metrics, and traces. The path to observability often starts with a traditional inbuilt monitoring tool, and later these requirements are extended to observable strategies. In the case of Azure, which is one of the most sought after public clouds, if the strategies aren't in place, then managing your Azure environment can be a challenging feat. Now, what are the stumbling blocks to managing Azure environment? The first one would be the complexity of infrastructure. Azure provides a vast array of resources and services. Managing and coordinating these resources within a complex and ever-expanding ecosystem can be overwhelming. Following the complexity of infrastructure, we have the second challenge: lack of visibility. Monitoring and observability require more than just traditional monitoring tools. It involves understanding of the complex distributed system, tracking microservices, and processing large volumes of telemetry data. Achieving complete observability to understand the system behavior and performance, all of this can pose as a challenge. The third one would be Azure's application often consists of distributed microservices and serverless function. Monitoring the resources in a holistic view to detect and address performance issues, anomalies, and security threats would be challenging. Observing the interactions between the services, tracing requests, and identifying performance bottlenecks can also be very challenging because aggregating and centralizing monitoring data is never easy. The fourth challenge would be of resource scaling. Azure environments are designed for scalability. Scaling resources efficiently and effectively is a crucial part of meeting changing demands. Monitoring the dynamic scaling of resources, ensuring optimal performance, and managing resource costs can be an intricate task. The fifth challenge is that many organizations use Azure alongside other cloud providers or on-prem infrastructure. Observing the entire environment, including these hybrid setups, can be complex. Integrating and managing these hybrid setups can be complicated, especially when we're dealing with data synchronization, networking, and security. The crucial challenge would be of cost and pricing. Azure offers flexibility in pricing, but this flexibility can also lead to cost overruns. It's challenging to keep track of the usage and expenditure, especially when resources are dynamically scaled up or scaled down. In this situation, you would require a proactive tool that can guide you with best practice recommendations for cost optimization and can lead you with a helping hand in Azure cloud cost optimization. Now, with all these challenges in Azure environment, what should you be choosing? Or why should you be selecting an observable approach over a traditional monitoring approach? Because Azure is a dynamic and complex environment, and monitoring is a very reactive approach. It deals with the aftermath of an incident, but observability is a proactive approach to avert crisis before it strikes. Monitoring involves performance metrics, which gives you visibility into what is happening inside the environment. But observability involves log, metrics, and traces. This gives you transparency. Monitoring is collecting and displaying of KPIs, whereas observability includes a tad bit more than that. It includes monitoring, but it also involves analyzing and acting on these analyses. Monitoring often answers the question of what went wrong. It informs you of your system's setback. But observability answers the why question. It informs you the reason behind these setbacks. Monitoring is more about a static know-how, a single consolidated view of your environment, whereas observability is traversable. It keeps giving you real-time inputs on the happenings inside your entire environment. Now, observability is a factor that can be achieved as long as one manages to gain visibility into these three pillars of observability. Azure's native tools like Azure Monitor, Application Insights, Log Analytics, and Azure Advisor together strive to attain this observability factor. But there are certain limitations to Azure's native observability tools. If your services are built using a multi-cloud environment, for example, say you use Azure's VMs to host your Windows application, but analyze logs using GCP or AWS's data analytics services, Azure's monitoring solution won't be able to address all of your observability needs in this case. Now that multi-cloud is here to stay, confining your possibilities to a single cloud seems like an unnecessary limitation. The second would be the diverse metrics. Azure's observability solutions like Azure Monitor provide centralized place for collecting and visualizing data. However, they don't address this challenge that diverse metrics means they also expose logs and data in different ways. Azure's built-in monitoring tools leave you with a siloed monitoring data, making it difficult for you to correlate different types of information. The third one would be the limited customization factor. Azure's observability solution provide you with some features of customization, but they're very limited. Say you can create a dashboard using the pre-built setup, but to build something from scratch for your customized visualization would be a challenging part. Apart from customizations in visualization, Azure's observability solution also have very limited alert criteria and they lack diverse notification channel. The final and the most pivotal point would be the dependency of these Azure solutions on the Azure cloud. Since these solutions function with a dependence on the Azure cloud, if something goes wrong with the cloud, these solutions might face the brunt of the dependency. It is important that observability solutions are independent and removed from the public cloud setup. Now, building a robust observability solution involves getting the most out of your strategies and finding ways to enhance your observability tool. With that, let me tell you how Site 24/7's Azure observability solution can help you elevate your observability strategy. For this, I will have to present you with a case study and a real-time example. Now, let's talk about Zilker. Zilker is a fast-growing e-com platform that has leveraged Azure as its host. They have utilized various Azure services to maximize the benefits of the cloud completely. Since there is a constant need for the e-commerce industry to deliver flawless digital experience, they would require a solution that is more than just monitoring. They would require a proactive tool rather than a reactive tool. Here are some of the many Azure services that is used by Zilker. They are using VMs and web apps for hosting their core web application and for scalability. They are using CDN profiles for delivering content-related product images and videos. They are using SQL for user data management, Azure Functions for serverless computing and for automating certain processes, Azure's machine learning to provide personalized recommendations for their customers. Now that as a business organization, they face various challenges in their observability goals due to lack of visibility, sudden traffic spikes, VM scalability issue, and an opaqueness in the performance and user experience monitoring aspects. All these challenges can affect their functioning and their goal to deliver a seamless user experience. Now, how did Site 24/7 resolve these challenges? We presented them with a full stack Azure observability solution, a tailored combination of Azure monitoring tool, the log management tool called App Logs, and the APM Insights distributed tracing setup for tracing the roadblocks to their optimal user experience. Now, let's delve deeper into the capabilities of Site 24/7 with a particular scenario from Zilker. Say they are having a hiccup in their Azure environment due to sale season. See, someone logs into the Zilker website to avail the benefits of the sale campaign, but there are also many others who want to avail the same benefits. Due to a lot of people accessing the portal at the same time and due to the huge number of requests to the database and due to the heavy traffic, sudden traffic spikes on the website, the page might experience heavy load time and it might take a while to respond. This is where a distributed tracing from Site 24/7 comes to help. It will take you to the exact line of call that is causing this issue and the exact method call that is causing you this delay instead of letting you sieve through an impossible pile of method calls manually, which is a preposterous task. The maximum page response time, say, for a web page to load would be 2 seconds. That is like the maximum limit of it. But in the slowest method calls provided by Site 24/7, the response time in overall is shown as 17.7 seconds, which is like a huge margin. Now, upon further inspection of these slowest method calls, the developers were able to identify that there was this one particular method call that was causing a huge delay. This duration was about 14.6 seconds. Now, since they were able to locate and pinpoint to the exact method call that was causing an issue, they were able to actively resolve with this using custom instrumentation. So after optimization, how did this turn out? The overall response time now has gone down to 2051 milliseconds. And the particular method call that was causing this delay, that has also reduced to 811 milliseconds. Now, since providing a seamless shopping experience for user is critical during a sale, and distributed tracing helps you with exactly that. It helps you identify and eliminate performance bottlenecks, leading to a smoother and faster user experience. Now, apart from increased response time, there would have also been a spike in VM utilization because of the increased transaction requests. This might also have caused auto scaling of the VMs in your Azure environment. With the help of management action from Site 24/7, now you can view the newly scaled services and resources in your Azure IT that has auto scaled. All of these gets auto added into the Site 24/7 portal, and you can obtain visibility into them instantly. These Azure services and resources in your environment need to be up and running always to ensure there are no further hiccups, and they contribute to the enhanced user experience and Uber observability goals. So with that, let's take a look at how Azure Site 24/7's Azure monitoring tool works. So the data, metrics, logs, and traces, all of that from your Azure services are transferred to the Site 24/7's database data center through an API integration. From the Site 24/7's application server, it is then moved to the database server and then to the client server. From the client server, these get displayed to you in HTTP sessions in the form of dashboards, reports, and logs. So the alerts and notification after that are sent to you via various third-party channels in case of any setback in your Azure environment. Let me take you quickly through the Azure portal for a demo and show you how it all works. I hope my screen's visible. So as soon as you log into the Site 24/7 setup, you have a cloud section, and in this, in case of the scenario now, you'll have to choose the Azure tab. You will have to add your Azure monitor. For adding your Azure monitor, you can add it through custom app or through Site 24/7 app. But for the ease of use, I've already added these monitors. So as soon as you add your monitor, you will be shown into this whole service view setup. This has a consolidated list of your Azure's resources, Azure services, the number of services in each of these service type, and the total number of resources it consists. And then we have an infrastructure dashboard, which gives you a knock view of the entire Azure architecture, your Azure environment. And just by hovering above it, you can see the resource type, the region that they're in, and the type of resources that they are. In case of a critical resource, just by hovering above it, will give you the reason for the status too. You have an inventory dashboard that segregates your services with that segregates your resources with respect to the service type, the total number of daily usage, and the locations that they are available in. You can also get your entire inventory details of your Azure resources in a consolidated form with respect to service, resources, and the resource groups. Now, say you want to monitor, in case of Zilker, they've added some VMs to their environment. So they need to check if the VMs are working fine. For that, you will just have to go back to the service view and click on the particular setup service that you want to check off. You will be immediately given a summarized view of what is happening inside these VMs. In Summary tab, you can check about the configurational details here. In this case, we had an outage on October 27th. So the outage is represented. You can also check the detailed inventory report and the log report. Apart from this, we also have ZIA forecast. This is like a predictive analysis for you to plan your capacity. This will give you the CPU percentage, the network details, and the disk capacity for the next 7 days for you to resource and for you to optimize your resources effectively. Now, apart from monitoring and forecasting, we also provide best practice recommendations for your Azure environment based on 4 major aspects. These recommendations are called the guidance report by Site 24/7. They are divided into availability, cost, security, and operational excellence factor. These recommendations are coded with high, moderate, and low levels of status based on the gravity of their impact. Monitoring every aspect of your Azure service and resources will give you a transparent and expansive visibility into Azure IT. This will in turn help you get a step closer to your observability goal. Now, that being said, let's get back to the scenario. Say if the VMs are scaled and the monitor gets auto-added, you will have visibility into the newly added VMs. The process will flow smooth and everything is smooth sailing in your environment. In case the auto-scaling requests fail, this is where app logs from Site 24/7 comes into help. With the help of Azure's activity logs, you can now segregate the requests based on the status of progression and troubleshoot the failed request by just restarting the VMs immediately to get you back on track with your observability. Or I'll just show you how this works in the demo. So in your Azure setup, you just hover above and click on the activity logs, and then you segregate them based on the status. And this has given you the exact failed counts of requests. And just by clicking on the failed counts, you will be taken to the exact logs that got failed. Just by knowing the status and the reason for it, what you can do now is you can restart the VMs that got failed and then get on track with your observability. Or you can also take a look at Azure's diagnostic logs. And by analyzing diagnostic logs, you can understand the resource usage patterns and predict when to scale up and scale down according to your needs. Now, with this scenario getting to a conclusion, I would like to emphasize the fact that this is just a single use case from dealing with a particular industry. These instances and solutions can be applied to any industry and any number of varying demands. Now, let us look into how Zilker got benefited from the observability solution. They have now enhanced visibility into their microservice architecture. They also get a root cause analysis for the resource-intensive operations. They get predictive analysis on potential performance and capacity-related bottlenecks. They also can get granular logs and traces insight to accommodate their scaling needs. Apart from this, they also get best practice checks in the form of guidance report to optimize their cost and increase the performance and reliability of Azure services. They can now monitor cloud, hybrid, and multi-cloud infrastructure with high interoperability. Apart from this, they can also improve their customer experience by monitoring the user conversion rate and user behavior through APM. With all these, they were now able to deliver an elevated user experience, leading to high customer satisfaction. Now, to conclude, with Site 24/7's observability solution, you can attain in-depth log analysis for each of your operations and resources. You can also diagnose and resolve application performance bottlenecks with our distributed tracing setup. We provide 100+ Azure service support. We also have interactive dashboard that is built from the scratch, customizable according to your personalized needs and requirements. We also have a predictive analysis by ZIA forecasting for your capacity planning. Apart from all of this, you can leverage ManageEngine's cloud spend for your Azure cloud cost management. It will help you reduce cost anomalies and also simplify cloud finance. We also provide out-of-the-box custom support for your entire app stack with 100+ plugin integration. Not only Azure, you can also monitor your entire Microsoft technology with Site 24/7. With that being said, do not forget to check us out on the MS Ignite event booth. We have 13,000+ customers across the globe, and we adhere to all security and compliance standards. Site 24/7 undergoes an industry standard audit every year for checking its operative effectiveness. We are GDPR compliant. With all these, you can also know more about us while you're talking to our expert through this channel. If you got any questions more, you can email us through all these technical support. We'll be happy to help. With this, I conclude the webinar and open the session for questions. Harshita, over to you.
Okay, so you can ask the data retention for the Azure monitoring, right? So let's say if you're going to monitor your logs, your data retention period will be for 1 month. If you want to monitor your performance metrics, for that, the data retention period will be 5 years, right? Okay. Let's say in your Azure environment, you do have VMs running, right? So if you want to monitor those VMs in depth, you can install our server agent. So with our server agent, you will be able to monitor 60 plus metrics of your VM. Like you can monitor your resource utilization of the VMs. You can monitor the services and processes that are running in your VM. If you want to monitor any of the database, as Halakshmi told you, like we do have 100 plus plugins that are available with Site 24/7. So you can use that plugins to monitor any of your databases with Site 24/7. Yeah, so that's all from my end.
Thanks, Harshita, for helping us out with the questions there. With this, I conclude the webinar. I hope it was informative. And to know about our upcoming webinars, you can always check out the webinar section on our webpage and know more. Thank you, guys.